Hello,
Hi.
Terry, is that you?
Gary. Yeah, is this Bob?
How are you? You got a beer?
I wish.
You probably have to get dressed and everything, right?
Yeah. I am all here today. How was your weekend?
I didn't do anything. Just a bunch of circumstances. We're going to go Thursday to Hocking Hills Old Man Caves and walk the underground caves in Ohio.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I heard it's really nice, but we didn't do anything for Labor Day weekend. It just we screwed up all of our plans before that, and it just didn't work out. So, it was nice enough though, staying home.
Yeah, that should be enjoyable.
How about you? Did you enjoy the 3 days?
Very much. We were in Au Gres, and working a lot. We bought a house over on the Au Gres River, so it's right off of the lake there, right off the bay. So,
that's beautiful.
Yeah. It's our 2 to 5 year retirement plan. My husband retires in 2 years. I got 4.5.
So is it one of those going to require a little tender care here and there?
Yeah, it's not like, oh man, you never know what you're going to get up north. We've been looking for a while, and this house was built in '91, but it was owned by a widow whose husband passed away 8 years ago. So there's some updating and upkeep that had. So we spent the entire weekend power washing the house and cleaning stuff up and.
Yeah, but it'll come along nicely.
Yeah. It's not done, but
you're in no major rush.
Exactly. So we got a little bit of enjoyment in and a little bit of work, and that's just the way it'll go for a while, and that's all right.
And eventually it'll be where you want to be.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to, really. So.
What community would you be in?
Actually, the city of Au Gres.
Yeah, I heard they need a clerk.
Yeah, are you serious?
No, I thought that would get you going.
Yeah, I think when I'm done, I'm done. I am done. But,
I have a feeling when you're done, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, public service takes its toll on you over the years, and I've enjoyed it, but it's sometimes can be a little trying.
Yeah, it's a lot of demand with not a lot of compliments.
Yeah, that too, but
I mean, working in the village is probably better than normal, but I've always told the village council over the years, if you think you're having rough meetings, just tag along. I'll take you to some really rough meetings.
Yeah. You just sometimes it's hard to believe what people do, you know, what's out there, but.
I was in a City of Warren meeting last Thursday and the Thursday before last Thursday, and public comment started at 7:20 and ended at 10:20.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I put my
Yeah,
foot down.
But it was a 3 minute, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, that's how many people, and everybody said, they just said basically the same shit.
Well, that's the whole thing. You know, if the comments are redundant, you know, get a spokesperson, and then make them just gavel them down. You know, we've heard this. Thank you very much. Yes, is there anything new, anything we haven't heard, anything that hasn't been brought forth?
That's right.
So,
That just takes a good chairperson to make sure that that's sufficiently run. So
yes, it does.
as such, it's 7 p.m. So I'm going to cut you guys off.
I got to get a Joe Frost involved in those meetings.
That's right.
So we'll go ahead and get started since it's 7 o'clock. So looks like everyone is here. Mo and Daly, are you here yet? I think I see Dave, but I don't know if it looks like he's muted. So Joe Madore, if you could just make sure members of council are not muted. We'll go ahead and get started. At this time, I call this meeting of the Village of Oxford Village Council regular meeting Tuesday, September 8th, 2020 at 7 p.m. to order. At this time, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Okay. Bailey?
Bailey here.
Ellis? She's still not here. Frost?
Here.
Kemp?
Here.
Cook?
Here. I'm going to call Mo.
Okay. Yeah, Mo might be having some technical difficulties. We'll continue on with the agenda. At this time, look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I move that we approve the agenda of the Village Council regular meeting Tuesday, September 8th, 2020.
Support. There's a motion from Cook, support from Frost. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Bailey?
Yes.
Frost?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Helmuth? Cook?
Yes.
All right, the agenda is approved. Moving on to the call to the public. At this time, a call to the public. This time is for council to hear from the public and not engage in discussion with the public on comments made by the public. In adherence with Open Meetings Act, each person will be allowed to the opportunity to speak for no more than 3 minutes. All comments should be addressed to the council president. Mr. Madore, you had a pretty good system on our last call for this. I wonder if you can just run through the same system you did before. Did we lose Mr. Madore too?
I'm muted and can't figure out how to unmute.
There you go.
There I am. Okay.
Okay.
You unmute the phone with the screen. This is a new system for me.
Yes, it's with the screen.
Gotcha. All right. Let me see who we have. This time I do have Chief Schultz lined up and got his name on there, so I can get him to speak if need be. Some of them just say ask to unmute, so I can't unmute them per se, but because they've muted themselves.
I think if they press *6, they can unmute themselves.
There you go. I was away signing in Dave when that was going on. I didn't hear what this unmute command.
This is Lori Bourgeot. I have no comments today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
I'm getting new folks. I'm admitting to the meeting as we speak.
Okay.
Don't know who they are. All I see is phone numbers, and they are muted.
This is Rose. I'm open. I have nothing tonight.
Thank you, Rose.
This is Megan McFarland. I have no comment.
Thank you, Megan.
Eight six. No,
Yeah,
640-2999.
That's Lori Bourgeot. I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna. Thanks.
Chief Schultz, did you have a comment?
I have nothing.
All right, thank you. It's interesting to see things mute and unmute.
Yep. Everyone else that is muted themselves, I believe.
Okay, all right. Call to the public one last time. If you missed this call to the public, we will have another call for public comments later in the agenda. So do not worry if for some reason you missed this one. All right, so moving on to our consent agenda. And Mr. Medora, I wonder if you can ensure that Maureen is unmuted.
I see here all it says is ask to unmute. So Maureen, you may need to hit *6 to unmute. You're on your end. I'm unable to on mine.
I'll make a motion to receive and file consent agenda items B. There is no A, right? It's B1, B1.
All right, there's a, nope. There's a motion looking for support.
Support Kemp.
There's a motion from Helmuth, support by Kemp, to receive and file consent agenda items C, B. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Cook,
Yes.
Frost,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Moving on to consent agenda items 6C, 1, 2, and 3.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 6C, 1, 2, and 3, including the bills, in the amount of $840,935.02.
Support from Dave.
There's a motion from Helmuth.
Bailey.
Motion from Helmuth, support from Bailey to approve consent agenda items 6C, 1 through 3, including the bills in the stated amount. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Frost,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
All right, moving down, there is no old or unfinished business. So moving to new business. The first item of business is a letter of resignation from myself, Joe Frost. I submitted this to Terry on August 25th. A little bit of an explanation, already in the letter, but my wife Andrea grew up in Lakeland, and we've been looking to get back there for some time. Back in April, I changed jobs from Oakland County to a job with the state of Michigan that is remote in normal times, meaning that I could live anywhere in the state. There's a lot of family in Bay City, and so we've been looking at getting back there for some time. So we purchased a home from the Bay County Land Bank. It was built in 1884. It's listed as a contributing building on the Center Avenue Historic District. So over the next, 6 months to a year, we are building that home. And, with school and things like that, we wanted to make sure that we were close to that project. So we've already, moved to Bay City, and we are, taking that step towards that renovation of that project. So it's been an incredible opportunity to work with each and every one of you and serve our residents and our business owners in the various capacities that I've served this community. So like I said, it was with great consideration, and I really wanted to get through to the election in November, but with one meeting in October, I couldn't really justify it, having 1 foot in one community and 1 foot in the other. So I hope that you will understand why I couldn't just do one more meeting. So, with that, at this point, I think you got to accept it. Bob, Terry, maybe you shed some light on the appropriate procedure at this point.
Joe Frost,
Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Robert Davis here. This would be an attorney motion to flatly reject your departure.
Support.
No, Joe, of course, everyone will wish you well when you will have to fill your vacancy within so many days. The charter lays out a process. I saw this agenda item. I provided Joe and Terry with the applicable provisions on how we go about this, and we'll let you know that there will be a smooth transition, but your leadership will be incredibly missed.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Joe Frost with regrets.
Support Cook.
There's a motion from Howard, support from Cook. Any discussion?
Sorry to see you go.
Thanks, Jonathan.
With respect to the motion, could we put today as the effective date? Because everything goes by days, unfortunately, hereafter.
Effective the end of the meeting on September 8th, 2020.
Thank you, Mo.
And
Support.
Kelsey, you support that? Okay. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmuth,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Frost.
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on to 8B, Adult Use Marijuana Planning Commission recommendation. I'm not sure who wants to take this, Mr. Medora or Mr. Davis?
Well, I can speak. I think there might be some other people who want to chime in.
Okay.
I can tell you, members of the Village Council, that your Planning Commission put forth an incredible effort to come up with a ordinance to present to you. I had the opportunity to work with them on several aspects of the ordinance draft, along with our planner, Mario. Recently, Kelsey Cook was the moderator for an Oakland County seminar that focused on some of the issues to be considered when you're drafting such ordinances. I was a guest speaker at her invitation, and I think Kelsey could speak a little bit because she learned quite a few things. I learned even more things, and I think that she can shed some light on the fact that we are definitely considering all the right issues. It would be my recommendation that to move this along, that we schedule very quickly a workshop on this, because this is not an issue, in my opinion, that can be addressed at a normal council meeting with all the other issues. So that would be my recommendation. Kelsey, anything to add?
Yeah, like Bob said, I think I learned a lot. There's a lot that goes into allowing adult use marijuana in a community. There's not many communities out there that have done it so far, and so we're learning from those who have and those who are considering it as well. And I think we need to take the time to, you know, not make any of the same mistakes that have been made that are out there that can result in litigation. And it seems like every day we're learning more and more about the risks, you know, to the village for doing that. So we want to make sure that if we're going to regulate it in the zoning ordinance, that the Planning Commission drafted that we get it right, basically. And it's going to take, in my mind, a lot more time than we have till the end of the year. So I know right now there's a sunset provision with the end of the year, you know, and I definitely would recommend moving that back again. I want to make sure we don't miss that date. And as Bob suggested, you know, we need to sit down, we get a workshop together to go over various issues. It's a matter of the zoning ordinance, but also a matter of the application process is even more tricky. And we're learning a lot of things from communities who've done that correctly, and then communities who've had some tough times with their application process. And then we also need to see if our village administration has the capacity to handle such an effort with the application process and all of the things that follow. So I'd like to, you know, some of the speakers that spoke, you know, obviously we had Bob, which was always provides excellent information and everything that he's learning. We heard from another attorney who worked at a really prominent law firm who's now the chief legal officer for an operator of adult use facilities. So he had a really interesting perspective. We also heard from Justin Donaskis, who's attended some of the Planning Commission meetings that I was at where we were drafting the ordinance back when I was on Planning Commission, and a couple other lawyers. And so we kind of heard, you know, all of the sides of what goes into this and what the operators and the investors expect, and then what the community should expect as well. So I guess that's a long way of saying we definitely need more time, and we have to make sure that we do it right. And I would, you know, suggest hearing from our local police, fire, DDA, and most importantly from all the residents. You know, we need to have probably a workshop and then a couple town halls. So yeah, I guess my point is there's a lot to know. It's constantly changing, and a workshop is a great idea. And I think we need to move back our sunset clause. So thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. Maureen, did you have something?
I'd like to schedule, if there have been that many changes since they had their workshop a week ago, I'd like to schedule a workshop as quickly as possible.
Mo, I agree, and Joe, I think we had some thoughts on that maybe we could combine a very timely meeting with doing this issue and one other agenda item dealing with the vacancy issue that we just accepted a resignation, then we need to address. Maybe we could do those two things very quickly at a workshop to be scheduled. Mo was very instrumental in working at the Planning Commission level with good thinking and practical thinking. And Mo, I think you're going to learn that in the long run, the simplicity of how the Planning Commission went about this will be the brilliance of the ordinance if we're able to get it over the finish line. The simplicity will become the brilliance. And I think that Kelsey got a dose of that. I got a good dose of that because I'm involved in many litigation matters involving defective ordinance schemes who tried to be too fancy. But we have a really, really good handle on a lot of good issues, and I think we can best present those at a workshop.
Hey, thanks, Bob. I'm glad to hear that is, you know, the detail there is, it sounds like it's really working out. So my hope is that the Village of Oxford in this process, you know, could be some sort of a model for other communities who want to do it right. And thanks to Kelsey and on your end, and Maureen from the Planning Commission side of things, and those who are on the commission who are not on this call, Justin Ballard as chair and others who've worked tirelessly on this for really the better part of 2 years now. So, my hat's off to each and every one of you. You know where I stand at the very end of this meeting, so I'll lean on you folks to, look at a calendar date, and maybe we can schedule a date here in the next minute or two.
Mr. Frost, Joe Madore here.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Madore.
Back to the previous agenda item, the resignation, that vacancy. The charter says within 30 days is when the appointment needs to make, which is the week before the next October council meeting of the 13th. I thought perhaps, now maybe it's too far out, we could do that on October 6th, which is 4 weeks from tonight, a week prior to the next council meeting, and that would give time for the meeting to handle the resignation vacancy as well as a workshop.
What's council's take on that?
Mr. Chair, may I point out that Tuesday, October 6th is a regularly scheduled planning commission meeting, just so you're aware.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Madore, maybe the suggestion is this, this is the second Tuesday already. So let's maybe do the fourth Tuesday, depending on what the ordinance needs. If the ordinance needs to be looked at in workshop sooner, then dependent on council members' schedule.
Okay, to that point, I agree. We just so happen that there's 5 Tuesdays of this month, being the first was the Tuesday. So 3 weeks tonight is the 29th, which is the 5th Tuesday. That's the week before the Planning Commission meeting and 2 weeks before the next council meeting. The only thing you're doing then is you're shortening the time for consideration for the council vacancy to 3 weeks versus 30 days, which is the longest time you could go.
Right. What's council's pleasure?
I think that would work, Joe.
It works for me.
Okay.
I'm a little confused on what dates we're talking about. October 6th was one, I think.
That happens to be a Planning Commission meeting, of course, being the first Tuesday of the month. So in order to avoid that, back it up 1 week to the 29th of September, which is 3 weeks from tonight, instead of 4 weeks from tonight.
Works for me. This is Cook.
Okay. Thanks. Joe, do we need that in the form of a motion?
No.
Not necessarily. I could present this, do the special meeting agenda and get information to you guys as long as everyone's on board with that night and time.
Sounds good. It sounds like everybody's on board with the 29th.
Bailey is on board.
29th.
Right. Maureen, the 29th?
I have no wife, that's fine.
Okay.
What time would be the council pleasure?
What time does your regular time?
It's gonna. Bob Davis here. I think it's important that the meeting just be at the regular time. People, we want to keep it very public, very transparent.
Yep, people are used to that time, so let's do that.
Are we doing it in person or in Zoom?
Why don't we leave that open? Why don't we leave that open, Mo?
How many people are we allowed to have in a room right now?
Under 10 or under. The problem is that with the Open Meetings Act, if by chance you get 30 people who want to come because of the topic, you don't have the right to, at that point, tell them they can't come to the meeting. So we have to wait and see what the executive's orders are at the time, but it may in fact have to be a Zoom meeting to be on the safe side. I don't know. I would suggest we leave it open for now.
That'll work.
All right, anything else on this topic? Moving on, we move on to the Downtown Development Authority Social District designation. Looks like Mr. Pape is on the call, so I'll turn it over to Glenn Pape, our Downtown Development Executive Director. Glenn.
Evening all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good evening.
This is something that we've been working on in the DDA for a while. This is new legislation that was signed by the governor, went into effect July 1 to allow for consumption of alcoholic beverages in public within designated social districts. And so this is something that, again, is something we've been working on. It eventually has to come to council for approval, but we're not to that point yet with regards to our maintenance plan and our overall guidance as to where this district is going to be. If I can share my screen.
Yes, please do.
Do you need me to do that for you, Glenn?
You're going to have to enable screen sharing.
Not sure if I know how.
Because holding the map up doesn't work.
It doesn't work as well.
You should see a share
I can make
screen
you the host.
button.
How's that? Let me make you the host. I did hand out the documentation you gave me earlier to council just about an hour ago, and they do have that map in front of them to help.
Okay.
As you describe it.
Glenn, you're now the host, so go ahead and share your screen.
So what you see on the screen in front of you is essentially the core 4 blocks of downtown Oxford. And the whole premise behind this is generated in tourism efforts from northern and western Michigan. This has been an effort for a long period of time. It was finally approved this summer in relationship to, stimulating sales for restaurants and taverns and such to make up for lost tourism revenue. Basically, what it allows is for municipalities to designate their properties as common areas for people to consume beverages on as they traverse through their downtown. Now, one of the things that we've looked at, and we're still evaluating all of this, is downtown Oxford is actually what we're proposing are 2 separate social districts. Now, it may not look like it on this map, but we have looking at having an East District and a West District where patrons could move from one location through the common areas, perhaps to the park or something of that nature, but utilize the sidewalks and the rear and front sidewalks once they're done. And so it would basically allow this to become a outdoor area for people to consume alcoholic beverages. The one caveat being that we have this lovely highway coming through the middle of our district, our downtown, and at this point we're being advised that you cannot cross a state highway with it. So that's why we're looking at 2 different districts. We also looked at the possibility of including some of our parking areas, not the entire parking lot, but a portion of the parking areas, so that we could, if we do get back to having events, there could be a possibility of setting up in a parking lot and having folks being able to imbibe in those areas as well. Things that we're still working on are signage. We've got some draft logos. One of the things that the ordinance, the new language is very clear on is that each facility that is a licensed seller that is participating in this social area has to have a logoed vessel so that they can, you can tell where they've been getting their beverages from. And the other thing is it has to have a logo of the district on it as well. So we're moving forward in that area as well. Here, I will stop the share on this now, and I'm going to move over to something else real quick. So what we're looking at here is this is something where we will apply this to a sticker, and we'll supply the stickers to the licensed retailers within our downtown district. We've had interest from everyone we've spoken with in the district with regards to moving forward with this. We're still waiting word on a few things with regards to some details, but you know, there are enough communities in Michigan now that have moved forward with this and have gotten the permitting through the state, and they've used a relatively vague process. But the things that we would have to look at in Oxford if we wanted to move forward with this, one of the things that we're talking about is allowing for beverages in Centennial Park. And currently there is an ordinance that prohibits open alcohol in Centennial Park. So there are a handful of administrative things that would have to be dealt with to move forward on this.
Thank you, Mr. Pape. Are you looking for some sort of action this evening from council, or is this?
I'm at this point, I'm looking at just being informational, and then we'll bring it, the complete package, to council at next month's regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Pape?
What sort of timeline to actually get this implemented, since we have to change ordinances? And what? We have to go through the normal hearing process?
No. What we would need is a resolution to apply for a social district to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. And we would put together the application package. We're still assembling all of that, which is why it's not in front of you this evening. But, you know, it takes into account things of like who's picking up and emptying the trash cans on Saturday and Sunday morning and things of that nature. So we're still working out a handful of those administrative details. But basically what we would be looking for is a resolution for application to the MLCC for a social district application.
Mr. President, Joe Madore.
Yes, Mr. Madore.
Part of your question, Allison, was yes, we would have to, if we want to allow it in Centennial Park, there would be a second part that would need to be, but you could approve the district for the area, but then that part of the district would be off limits until such time that our ordinance allowed alcohol in that park, and that's if that's what council wishes.
Thank you, Mr. Madore. Any other questions from council? I think this is a great idea, Glenn, and thank you to yourself, and I assume Nicole Rankin Edwards has been involved on this as well, and also to the DDA board. This is, you know, a new thing this summer, and it seems to be working in some communities that are moving that direction. So, you know, I think this, coupled with the road construction being completed and, you know, the improvements there, you know, expanded use, you know, public space for restaurants and seating outside of the traditional brick and mortar walls of a establishment, I think could make for a really robust social district. So I'll entertain more questions, but or comments, but that's the only comment I have. So good work on this. I think it's a good thing for the community. Thank you, Mr. Pape. We'll move on to the new business 8D, Resolution 2020-13 GLW IPP Rules Update. Mr. Madore?
Yes, are you familiar, most of you are probably at this point, that the old Detroit Water and Sewer District, DWSD, no longer exists, and it's now the Great Lakes Water Authority, or GLEWA as some call it. The sewers from our community flow into the county sewers, which flow into that system. And every now and then they need to upgrade their rules and things like that. And this was what came out of this. I think it was, Kelsey, you probably remember when these rules were updated. I think it was November 13th of 19, it says, is when they did it. It's one of those things they updated, and as a member community that end result is that our sewerage goes into their system, we have to abide by their rules, and unless we want to provide our own sewer treatment system, we will. And this is just an update signing that we are in agreement with those rules. Mr. Davis has probably seen this in other communities, I assume.
Yeah, and there's, you know, it's something we just have to move forward with. We've moved forward with these rules in the past, and I would recommend we go forward. I've been involved in these rules, representing 13 Oakland County communities with respect to their water discharges to GLEWA, and it's all been the same. So.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mrs. Cook?
I'll just concur with Mr. Davis as well. So I'm very familiar with the GLEWA's IPP rules. In fact, they wanted the county to adopt an ordinance, and we kind of let them know that it's more appropriate for the communities to do that because it's the actual communities that are sending flow to GLEWA for treatment down in Detroit. And so as long as, I'm assuming Mr. Brantley's reviewed the rules, or at least has a copy. Mr. Madore, do you know if Mr. Brantley has a copy of Exhibit A?
I can't say that for sure. I can't. I know he gets some of these emails, but but I can't say for sure if he's received this one.
Yeah, I think he does have a copy.
Okay, thank you. I would move that we adopt Great Lakes Water Authority's IPP rules update as presented in Resolution 2020-13.
Support, Helmuth.
There's a motion from Cook, support from Helmuth. Approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Frost,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries. Moving on to item 10, public comment. At this time, this is our second session for public comment. If you're interested in speaking to council on any topic.
Okay, let me see if I can get any. I think most people are muted on their own, but let me see here. Oh, Glenn, you need to bring me back to the host.
Oh, yep.
Not seeing the ability to unmute folks at this point yet.
Looks like Glenn's still working on it.
Okay.
All right, looks
Okay,
like
there
Mr.
you go.
Madore, you're now host. Yep.
Okay, Ashley Ross. If it says asked to unmute, it means they are muted on their end, I believe.
No comment.
Thank you, Ashley.
I see a Bill, is it Stanisi? Any comments, sir? He is muted. James Hanlon?
No comment.
Justin Wilcock?
Thank you, Justin. He shook his head no.
Okay, I can't see. I'm watching the side.
Okay.
Megan McFarland, any comment?
No comment for me, thank you.
Thank you. Nicole, any comment?
No comment.
I see a Petrowski.
Yes, Evelyn Petrowski here. Thank you, Council President Frost. First, I wish you the best of luck in your future ventures, and thank you. And just regarding 8B, adult use marijuana planning commission, and again, I would like to say that I think that it would be probably not a good thing for our village to be encouraging adult use marijuana in terms of possibly our businesses who wish to obtain a good workforce, a non-drugged workforce. Our hospitals and clinics, of course, you know, would probably not be happy about it, especially in terms of COVID. And our schools, of course, for our children who might intercept mom and dad's or grandma and grandpa's stash of marijuana. Their kids have trouble focusing now, and especially since we have suspended or online virtual type learning. It just does not seem to be efficacious towards learning. And in terms of our village budget, yes, maybe the tax revenue coming in would be something that is very tasty to us. However, I would think that we would expand our various budgets like police, DPW, fire, legal issues, risk management, exposure, that kind of thing for our budget. So unless you want to expand your budgets, I don't think that most residents and businesses, at least that I visited, are for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings me to, got out of order now here. I have a Pete Schultz, anything you'd like to say?
No, I've got nothing. Thank you.
Okay. I have a Dan Argue. Any comment? None. I've asked others to unmute. If they have not, I guess that's their indication that they have no comment. That would be all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Medor. At this time. Oh,
I'm sorry, this is Lori Bourgeau. Sorry, took a little too long I forgot the star six.
Sure,
just want to say congratulations. Something I'm very interested in hearing about, though, in the workshop you're discussing that, I'm assuming that's a public hearing. What I'd really be interested in hearing is why the village is considering the ordinance for adult marijuana use, what the benefit is to the village, what you feel the benefit is specifically to the village residents. I'm a little surprised that we were looking at this in the village versus if we were to do it in Oxford versus the township. So I'd like to hear what went into the decision making to proceed. And I just would request that is something that's discussed and brought to motion at the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that is all the public comment I can see.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Medor. Thank you, members of the public, for your comments. Moving on to committee reports. Mr. Bailey, NODA.
Yes. I toured the NODA facility within the last few days, and they're doing great. I love how their new place works. I believe that their vehicles will be in better shape because they can be parked indoors. And NODA is continuing their policies, which they adopted at the beginning of our present difficulties with COVID, and so their rules are substantially relaxed, so that they're trying to give as many people as possible what they need, and in many cases without following their previously rather strict rules. So I think it's really great news that NOTA is doing great, and I hope that their ridership is also doing great. That's about all I've got to say right now.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mrs. Helmuth, Planning Commission and Cable Commission.
The Planning Commission spent their last meeting going over and beating the dead horse with the marijuana ordinance. I can't wait to see what's new on that front. The Cable Commission, that I am so good with Zoom that I only made the last 5 minutes of the meeting. It was a disaster, but it was strictly a business meeting. There was no topic of discussion, so.
Thank you, Mrs. Helmuth. Ms. Kemp, Pollyant Trail.
Pollyant Trail, as you all remember, we, at the beginning of the pandemic, Ms. Moran and Chief Sowald sent out a call for cans, and we essentially turned garage into a smelly frat house. With so we raised $25,000 worth of cans. We decided, since so many of the businesses this year are going to have, obviously, and people walking to the door, so we decided to use $1,500 of that money to donate to our police's Shop with a Hero event as a thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, well done, Pollyant Trail Board, and Allison, good work serving on that board as our representative. So, on to the DDA. Really, we got a bulk of the update from Mr. Pape a few moments ago. I was unable to attend the last meeting because I was pulled away for a funeral that week, but some things for the council to consider. September, per the DDA bylaws, is the month where board member reappointments, if the term is ending. This is per the DDA bylaws. So it should have been on the council agenda this evening, but considering my resignation, I don't feel comfortable appointing or reappointing, as the case may be, DDA members at this meeting. So I think it's not on the agenda this evening deliberately, but again, this is per the DDA bylaws. September is traditionally the month to reappoint. So the next president it will be at their pleasure to be able to make those appointments. Something to think about, when those appointments do happen is who has contributed. If you were going to reappoint somebody to the DDA, be thinking about, what those contributions may have been. I will say that in the 5 years that I've served this community, there are, some DDA board members, without mentioning names, who've done very little in 5 years. And then there are others that have gone above and beyond. Staff goes above and beyond. So with that, the DDA has a good handle on the social districts and the communications is rocking and rolling on the M24 project. If you want a sneak peek of what M24 is going to look like when it's done, just look at the east side of the road now because it's getting pretty close. So Glenn, well done. It's been a pleasure to work with you in this various capacities. That's all I have from the DDA. Moving on to manager, staff, and attorney reports. We'll start with Mr. Davis.
I'm all good, Joe. Thank you for all of your hard work, sir.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Terry?
Yeah, I do have one thing. The village has had a trust and agency account called Special Gifts for a number of years where there has been literally no activity. one or 2 cents earned in interest. And there are some new reporting requirements by GASB 64 that it just doesn't make worth holding on to this $500 and I think it's $17 in perpetuity. But I did discover that it was originally donated for the time capsule, which exists inside the safe inside the building, which is owned by the Historical Society. And I've spoken with the Historical Society about turning that money over to them, closing out the account, the certified check. It has been recommended by the auditors to do that, to get rid of this so we don't have this ongoing extra reporting because we're just holding these funds. So I didn't think that I would need to have board approval to close the account, but perhaps the attorney has other, another opinion on that. And if so, I'd like to add it to a special meeting agenda so that, we could finalize this unless there's other objections.
I would recommend we put it on the agenda and just get a board vote on that. Put the pennies in the time capsule so people in the future remember that we had pennies.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Bob. Manager report, Mr. Medor? Looks like you're still muted, Joe.
Okay, that's better. So not a whole lot going on. Other than the M24 project, you guys see what's going on out there. They're moving along. It's looking nice. We got some good compliments on the brick pavers down there, and people wishing it could have went farther south to their business, but we had to draw the line somewhere, of course. One little bit of good news. Terry went online and got our revenue sharing reports last week and gave them to me and shared them with me. We went over them, and the May-June timeframe, which our August revenue sharing check was to represent, the state and some CARES Act money made us whole. Basically, we budgeted $296 for the year that just ended, and we ended up with $296,589. So we weren't seeing any dire dip in those funds that time period when everything was shut down. So that's good to know. We won't have to try to make that up elsewhere. And then for the revenue sharing amounts for the budget year that we already started, we budgeted $249,000. The state estimate is $297,000, but again, that estimate is based on the future. So we're still looking pretty good there, and we ended up the other year really well without any big hole to try to make up. So just glad to see that. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Medor. Council comment.
And I just want to, I'm sorry, Joe, and I just want to say thank you and good luck to you. I think it's a great move for you and your family. It fits you in many ways. Your wife's hometown, an old house to work on. This old house, Joe Frost style. Thank you for help bringing me to the village. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. All right, moving on to council comments. We'll start with Ms. Kemp.
Well, I want to thank the DDA for working on the social districts and the Planning Commission for all the work they've done on the marijuana ordinance. And thank you to staff for, continuing to adapt technologically and whatnot to provide, visuals during the pandemic. Joe, I'm very sad to see you go. Thank you so much for your service you've given actually the last 5 years on council and as the DDA. Just thank you for answering all the random texts and calls about, just random information and what's this acronym and whatnot. And I wish you and your family all the best.
Thanks, Allison. I appreciate it. All right, Mrs. Helmuth.
I have nothing nice to say about you, Joe. Nothing at all. Good luck. We'll have drinks. Keep me posted.
Absolutely. Will do.
3 of us can get together now.
Good luck, Joe.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey, council comments?
Yeah, I'm reluctantly admitting to myself that we're going to lose you as president of the village council. But I'd also like to comment about marijuana. I feel that the village of Oxford is a special municipality. And I think that's great. If we had marijuana, part of our special status will get degraded. We'll just be one more of those little municipalities that has big marijuana signs down the main drag. So I oppose converting the village into an ordinary municipality. So let's continue being special. That's all I've got for you now.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mrs. Cook?
Thanks. I just want to say, Joe, thank you for being an exceptional leader for the village. I really enjoy the time we've gotten to work together. You'll be greatly missed, and I can't wait to see what you do with your home. So keep us updated, and I'm sure you'll go far in the future. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Kelsey. Appreciate it. All right, and this comes to me. So thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to serve. Again, I've said this a few times now, but special thanks to Glenn Pape and the DDA staff. They're awesome to work with. Kudos to all the work that you're doing. The M24 project looks beautiful. Joe Medor, thank you for your guidance. I know there's a lot to learn as president, and without you, I would have been unable to learn this role as easily as I had. So thank you for the work that you do behind the scenes. Terry and Bob, same thing. Terry, you came on at the right moment and turned this financial situation that we had at the time with the books, turn it around. We've made a lot of progress, and a lot of that progress is because of you and coming back to the council time and time again to bring in Plant Moran, and we kind of we're joking a little bit, having to spend all that money, but it was through your guidance that we were able to fix some of the issues that we had on that side of things. Bob, thanks for your guidance behind the scenes as well, learning Robert's rules and telling me when I needed a motion and when I didn't. So I appreciate it. I'll keep everybody posted as we go along. And I certainly can't forget the DPW. They're incredible. We have one of the best DPWs any community could ever hope to have. They'll answer a phone call in the middle of the night for a pothole or snow emergency or something like that. So, and then Chief Solwald and his crew, well done. Again, you guys you're the core of the community. You make the community strong, and you make the community proud. The various aspects of village government here. So with that, I'm not going to get all sappy and talk all night, but I could. So we'll move on to closed session. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Helmut, so moved at 7:57.
Support, Cook.
There's a motion from Helmuth, support from Cook to adjourn at 7:57. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.